and today's relaxed selection is Gordon Lightfoot's Early Morning Rain. Had this been written 20 or 30 years earlier, it probably would have been a hobo song and involved railroad trains. But it was set in the 70s in an airport with a fella down on his luck saying goodbye to a friend. Beautiful images, and it was re-recorded, by Ian and Sylvia of Four Strong Winds fame, and by the amazing Peter, Paul, and Mary. Here's Gordon Lightfoot, Early Morning Rain. Well, after doing a little more research, you can add to that list Bob Dylan, Judy Collins, Elvis Presley, and a really, really sweet version that I found by one of the most underrated musicians and guitar players and singers, actually, ever, Jerry Reed. So this song has really been covered, and some of the versions have different chord progressions. The original Lightfoot version was pretty much a 3-chord song, but I'm a big fan of minor chords, especially in a song about the early morning rain at an airport, being on your own. So what I've done here, and I hope you approve, is I've sort of mixed and matched and borrowed from various versions, the Elvis version and the Jerry Reed version, etc. And I've just put together one that I think is a really nice version to play. That throws in some of those minor chords. So this is kind of my arrangement based on a lot of other versions of this wonderful song. So here are the chords you need. First of all, capo on the 3rd fret. We are going to stay faithful to the key that Gordon Lightfoot played this in, so put the capo on the 3rd fret. And I'm going to name the chords with their formations. So that's a D chord, even though with the capo on the 3rd fret, it's an F chord. So as not to confuse you, we'll just name it after its finger position. So you need an open D chord, and then you're going to leave your 3rd finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. You're going to move your 2nd finger up to the 6th fret of the bottom string and play that chord, and we'll call that a D over G. And then you're going to take, again, keeping the 3rd finger where it is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, you're going to take your 1st finger and flatten it down and cover the 5th fret of the 4th and 3rd strings. And we end up here with what amounts to an A sus chord. So open D, D over G, A sus. And those are the 3 chords we're going to use to create the intro for Early Morning Rain. You also need an E minor chord. You need an open A. And then you need an A7 chord. So that's just taking that middle note out of the A. So you obviously can't take it out with a bar, so you have to use, and I'm using my 2nd and 3rd fingers here to play those 2 notes to create an A7 chord. You need an open G chord. And then the final kind of cool, satisfying my need for minor chords, you're going to include an F sharp minor bar chord, which again, with the capo on the 3rd fret, is actually an A minor chord. If you took the capo off right now, you'd say this was an A minor chord. But in the context of the other chords we've been playing, an F sharp minor. And those are the chords you need for Early Morning Rain. All right, that's the intro that I've envisioned for Early Morning Rain. And as you can see there, I'm just cycling through those 3 chords. Those first 3 chords I showed you, which is the open D, the D over G chord, and the A sus. Picking the lead notes as I go. So I'm picking the 4th string there, leading with the 6th string there, 5th string for the 3rd chord. We cycle through that twice. If you take a look at the right hand here, it's a very simple Okay, let's do a little playthrough that shows you how this intro transitions into the first verse. In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand. Okay, so let's walk and talk our way through the verse progression nice and slowly here. Again, we're coming off an A sus chord. In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand. So the first part of the verse progression travels from an open A with a dollar, and on the dollar switches to a G chord in my hand. And that's just to add that little turnaround point there. We just go from the D chord back to that D over G and then back to the D. So once again, in the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand. So verse sequence part 2, we're going to travel to the E minor chord, and we're just coming off this. With an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. So we have the same finish to it, the D to D over G to D, but the two chords this time are E minor and A7. So putting those first two parts together, in the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand, an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. The next line is the same as the last one. I'm a long way from home, and I miss my loved ones so. Okay, so the pattern there is we do the A, G, D, then we do the E minor, A7, D, and then we repeat the E minor, A7, D. And then the last line is where we include the F sharp minor bar chord. In the early morning rain, with no place to go. And we'll get back to that intro cycle again after each verse. So summarizing the sequence of chords in a verse, we have an A to G to D, E minor, A7, D, E minor, A7, D again, and then F sharp minor, E minor, A7, D. And of course in the midst of those, the little turnaround bits. I think what we should do is do a playthrough of intro and an entire verse, and we'll put the chords on the screen for you. In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand, with an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. I'm a long way from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go. All right, well, you have everything you need to play the full song, as this song basically just repeats. But I would like to show you the ending, because he does replay the last 4 lines of the song. So let's just do a playthrough of that last verse and show you how the song ends. This old airport's got me down. It's no earthly good to me, and I'm stuck here on the ground, as cold and drunk as I can be. You can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train, so I'd best be on my way in the early morning rain. Can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train, so I'd best be on my way in the early morning rain. All right, fine tuning for early morning rain. You know, this is just one of those songs that conjures up images, and that's what great songwriters are able to do. I hope you've enjoyed the version I've given you today. We've got a few more minor chords than in the original version, again, begged and borrowed from other versions, but I hope you enjoy the arrangement. Again, a simple strumming pattern with just a simple strumming pattern, picking lead notes as you transition through chords, with a little turnaround, both in the verses and between the verses. There's Gordon Lightfoot and a gazillion others. Early Morning Rain. We'll see you next time on Song Mentor.